so grateful for you being here, especially on a Sunday. Taking time away from family and friends to be with us, and we really do appreciate it. But to begin our formality, I'd like to ask Steve Parker to join me on stage to deliver the Welcome to Country. Thanks, Steve.
My name's Steve Parker. I'm a descendant of the Bunburum people, which is a country that you're standing on today. This is my grandmother's country, Auntie Grace Sailor Nee Cooper. And my grandfather's country is in Darnley Island, which is furthest in the Torres Strait of the islands there. So I feel very honoured to be connected to the very top end and the bottom end of this beautiful country. So I would also like to pay my respects to elders both past and present, and the elders that are still with us today. Auntie Caroline R.W. Briggs, Auntie Fabio, and pass on lots of cultural stories, language down to us younger generation, and guide us in the country. So before I start, I'd just like to, I'm going to do a bit of a calling to my ancestor spirits, just down here on this site here, on this new building. What an amazing building it is, and then I'll get into the welcome. So it's about connecting you all to this beautiful country. So when I do this calling, I want to get you to all close your eyes and think about the country before it has been built on, and the ancestors that walked on this country, and just so you have an understanding. So I'll get you to close your eyes and just connect to that country that's around here. I'm going to do a bit of calling to ancestors' spirits. I'd like to talk about how big our country is. So just there, I did a calling to Bunburum Spirit, our Creator, and our people's spirit to walk on this land. Just to connect to you, as usually we'll do a smoking ceremony, so that's one of my ways of connecting everyone to this beautiful country. So Bunburum country is quite a substantial amount of our coastline, half of, I always say half of the surfable coastline of Victoria. It runs from Werribee River into Melbourne there, and that big beautiful bay that you might know as Port Phillip Bay, which we call Nerm in our language, and I'll get you to repeat Nerm. I'll get you to say Nerm. So Nerm is our bay. 10,000 years ago, it was a big hunting ground for our Bunburum people. And that beautiful river that runs through the centre there that you might know as the Yarra River, which we call the Birrung. Can we say the Birrung? Birrung actually runs through the centre of Nerm, and originally he went out the heads there at Portsea as a waterfall going out into Warrini, which is our ocean. 10,000 years ago, our people weren't getting along on country, and our Creator, whose name is Bunjil, that travels as a wedge-tailed eagle, asked our people to get along on country and warned them, if you don't, we will punish you. And they weren't getting along, and that's where the bay started to flood, and he made those waters rise. Now that story is recorded from a tree at Hobson's Bay, Williamstown there, in the 1700s, from the first Europeans landing there, meeting with our Budwunang elders, and that tree became a place that the first settlers also used as a meeting place and message tree. And I think that tree still stands there to this day. But Bunjil warned us to get along the country and to protect it, and that's what had happened. That's a Dreamtime story about. But our country actually extends right around along the coastline, past Gamamata, and into that second beautiful big bay that is known as Port Phillip Bay, Western Port Bay, sorry, which we call Murrumbik. Can we get people to say Murrumbik? Which is Western Port country, and then Murruman. Can we say Murruman? Takes up a beautiful island, a couple of islands in the centre there. I reside on a beautiful island which we call Malau, which you might know is still an island, you get used to saying Malau. And then off, back onto the mainland from Bass River all the way down to Shallow Inlet, we call that Tullagumbik. Can we say Tullagumbik? And then it stretches down to that beautiful place that you might know as Wilson's Prom, which we call Wamoon in our language. Can we say Wamoon? Now I always recognise the Gunai Kurnai, which are always on the east side of the prom there, or Wamoon, and they have their own stories that go back to that country. They have their own name, which is they call the Uruk, but it was always known as Bungarang country. And our land comes in as far as the Straits Lakes, trying to use the Tarwin River as our boundaries to the east of the Gunai Kurnai. And over back of Warrigal there, and then on the bottom of the hills, around Pakenham. There were 6 clans that shared our country, and the clans that were around this area were the Manyang Balak and Yuit Balak that shared around this bay here. But there's 2 promises that we ask of all visitors and people that live on our country, and that is to respect our bullpups. Can we say bullpups? Bullpups are our children, and also to respect our Big Barunga. Can we say Big Barunga? Big Barunga is our land and country, and in doing so you will receive safe passage from our Creator, Bunjil. We also have a protector of our waterways. His name is Wa, who travels as a crow. But Bunjil's always up there, strongest bird of prey, always watching down upon us, to making sure that we're looking after our children on our country and looking after our country and land. And in doing so you will receive safe passage. So, Woman Jacka, Bang Bekbek, Jalan Manyan Bilak, Woman Jacka Tubunan Barunga, Woman Jacka Kira. So, welcome to our beautiful homes by the bay, welcome to Bungarang country, and welcome here today, my friends. Welcome everyone to this beautiful centre that the SES have created. I think that's much needed within our community. And we'd love to see a lot more volunteers to put their hands up to help out these amazing people that help out the community all over. So, Woman Jacko, everyone, thank you.
Thank you, Steve. When we first met Steve, we were invited to be part of a celebration for NAIDOC Week. And as soon as I saw Steve, and he did a welcome there, along with a smoking ceremony, which we would love to have done today, but because we were indoors. But right then, we said, if we get this building and we need it open, then we can't think of anybody better. And I think the thing that I love was it's not just what we sometimes see on sporting events and things, just a simple work of the country. What Steve does is he involves everybody and he gives us a story. And let's face it, that's what this land is built on. It's built on stories. So thank you again, Steve. Would you help me thank Steve? So good morning, everyone. For those who have lived on Mars for 30 years, my name is Phil Wall, and I'm the Deputy Controller for Community Engagement at SES. And I'm so happy to welcome you all here today on behalf of every volunteer member at Chelsea. Today marks a very special and significant day in the long and proud history of Chelsea SES as we mark the official opening of this magnificent new headquarters, a party that has been almost 15 years in the planning. And we're honoured to have so many of you here today to share in our celebrations. This year marks my 20-year anniversary as a member of the Chelsea SES team, And almost from day one, I remember our unit controller, Ron, speaking about our need for a bigger building and working towards that end. But like all great adventures, it can have many moments of celebration and sadly just as many moments of disappointment along the journey. And this journey was no different. Many times our hopes were raised when we thought we had funding, but sadly through one reason or another it simply never happened. And then we met Tim Richardson, our new member from Mordialloc, and suddenly the light of hope was switched back on, but this time it continued to shine. Tim's support and belief in our unit, and more importantly, our members, saw him go to work and obtain the funding that we needed, and suddenly this dream was becoming a reality. Over the years, many members have come and gone through our doors, as that is the nature of any volunteer organisation, but the unit management team at Chelsea can boast more than 100 years combined experience, which serves our unit and our community very, very well. Two members who stand out are sadly no longer with us today. A few years ago, member Graham Russell sadly passed away, and one of his last wishes was to be buried in his orange uniform. That's how much the orange meant to him, and just how proud he was of that uniform. So today, we are so proud to be opening the Graham Russell meeting room named in his honour, and I'm delighted to say that Graham's family are here with us today. The other member is Natasha Drake, who passed away tragically and suddenly, and today we will also officially be opening the Natasha Drake Memorial Garden, and I would urge you all to have a wander out there and have a look at the garden later on today. I won't say too much more than that, as other speakers are going to say more, but again, we're thrilled to know that Tasha's family are also joining us. For many years, Chelsea SES has had a proud history of diversity and inclusion, and with this new building being fully accessible to all abilities, it truly is a facility that not simply works for everyone, but one that is purpose-built to embrace, encourage and support each and every person who wishes to be here. Through the efforts of so many people, many of whom I'm pleased to say are with us today, our new LHQ did become a reality, a building that we are so proud to call home, and a place that will symbolise the Victorian State Emergency Service in this community for many, many years to come. So that long after we hang up our orange uniforms, a new generation of volunteers will have this amazing facility in which to learn, grow and serve their community, and to continue the proud tradition that Chelsea SES has built over the last 70 years. Through the SES Facebook page, it has been fantastic. We've been able to bring so many of our community along with us on this journey, with regular updates on the progress of the building, and now also on Tasha's garden. The feedback for everything that we've been doing has been 100% positive and supportive, and so many people ask, when can we come and see it? When can we come and visit? When can we look at the garden? So later this year, we're not, because we're Chelsea and we do things a bit differently, we're not going to have an open day, we're going to have a housewarming party. And the housewarming party will be open to all of our members' families, and then all of our community who wish to come down and visit. We have attracted in excess of 1 million hits in just 4 months. We have many, many people looking forward to our planned housewarming party later in the year, when we will be opening our doors to the public for them to come and see our new home for themselves. Here at Chelsea, we've always known we were best. But now, we can absolutely say we're the biggest and the best. It's now time to hear from our speakers. Our first speaker this morning, in a roundabout way, is the man responsible for all of this being able to be here today. He's the money man. The man who believed he could get the funding, and more importantly, did. Ladies and gentlemen, representing the Minister for Emergency Services, the Honourable Jacqueline Symes, would you please make welcome Mr. Tim Richardson, MP State Member for Mordialloc.
Well, thank you very much for that introduction, Phil. And I'd like to firstly start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we gather, the Bunurong people. And Steve, thank you so much for that moving and amazing welcome to country. We really appreciate you giving up your time. When you do a welcome to country, people take away so many different things, and learning language and culture on country as we move towards treaty in Victoria is so very important. So thank you for being a part of this story today. I'd also like to acknowledge our Mayor, Councillor Hardy Saab. Thank you for joining us. Councillor David Eden and Councillor Georgina Oxley, big supporters of the SES unit here and watching on as their journey has evolved over many years. I wanted to acknowledge Andrew Crisp, our Emergency Management Commissioner for Emergency Management Victoria. Thank you for your service, Andrew. You're finishing up in the next few months, and you've been an immense part of the emergency management story, but also with Victoria Police, a distinguished career. We thank you so much. Can we please put our hands together for Andrew? To Stephen Griffin, Chief Executive Officer of SES, thank you so much for joining us. We met a little while ago that I'll touch on soon in 2017 at a moment out in Bomb Beach at those headquarters. So thank you for being here. To the amazing captain of EDFL CFA, Graham Fountain, a leader across a number of different areas and communities, thank you so much for joining us, Spout. We've got representatives from Victoria Police, Lifesaving Victoria, Ambulance Victoria, the Coast Guard, just about everyone, and our wonderful SES families here today and volunteers. And welcome to this official opening of the Chelsea SES unit. I've been wanting to say that for 10 years and we're here and we're celebrating it. It means so much to all the members on their 70th year to celebrate this momentous occasion. And I reckon a few of you, it would have been the first time that you've walked the orange carpet, but hopefully it's not the last time. We'll break it out a few more times, I reckon. It's a pretty spectacular view through there. And for decades, Victorians have been tirelessly served by a special group of volunteers that don the orange and support their fellow Victorians in times of major emergency incidents like flood and storm events, major emergencies and natural disasters. When communities are confronted by these distressing events, it has been the kindness and compassion of our SES volunteers that have charted the course through despair and uncertainty, like that reassuring clearing sky after a fierce storm. That sense of selfless service, volunteerism and distinguished careers in volunteerism for our SES volunteers are some of the best parts of our community in the City of Kingston, indeed SES and Victoria. And for decades, that tireless group have been supporting our community here. They're one of the oldest, and I think they are actually the oldest SES unit. Since 1953, they've provided a leading example across the emergency services family. And today they are serviced by dozens of members who now have this wonderful purpose-built facility. In the most recent year, they have answered the call 250 times, but it's not confined to the Patterson River, Centre Road or the Nepean Highway. No, on countless occasions, our SES volunteers have answered the call of assistance across regional and rural communities in Victoria and indeed across Australia. The unveiling of this state-of-the-art facility today is an exciting milestone for our Vic SES, the unit's members and our local community. Relocating the unit from Scotch Parade in Bomb Beach to Chelsea Heights will further support their responses to local incidences and provides additional space for training and volunteer support and recruitment. And today's new premises and facilities deliver that modern technology and capabilities, are fit for purpose and ensure that they can continue their vital services for many years to come. And I was really proud to be a small part of that journey as the Andrews Labor government delivered $7 million towards redeveloping Chelsea SES, and it's one of the 6 facilities that have been delivered as part of the Vic SES High Infrastructure Priority Projects. Now, as Phil shared with us before, it's been a significant journey, some 15 years in the making. The perseverance and resilience of Chelsea SES reminds me of a timeless saying, good company in a journey makes the way seem shorter. While it might feel like a lifetime to get to this point, it's certainly been made easy with the people that underpin this unit. Some of the best you'll ever hope to meet. But that journey took a little bit of the Billy Joel in it. In those immortal words, we didn't start the fire. When the Chelsea S unit was substantially impacted by fire in 2017, that's where I got to meet our CEO, Stephen Griffin. And as Phil said at the time, the tables were turned when we were the ones called for help and our local firefighters answered the call of assistance. It's yet just another remarkable story and another page in that chapter book. And while I assured Ron and Phil at the time that we weren't far off from making that commitment, I think it absolutely removed any doubt. Obtaining the right location was an exhaustive process, literally looking across the map of the city of Kingston from Braeside, Mordialloc, Aspinall, Chelsea and Chelsea Heights. And then literally SEA and SES door knocking, going door to door with Unit Controller Ron Fitch to find this location. It was a truly remarkable effort. But as critically important as facilities are like this, it's those volunteer legends in our Chelsea SES unit that are the beating heart and soul of our community. These are some of the many volunteers. There are so many volunteers we could acknowledge, hundreds that have been through here, each with a lasting story and an everlasting contribution that they have made. Collectively, we take a moment to thank our SES unit volunteers for their service and tireless dedication. But I wanted to call out a few people. I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge an outstanding leader in our local patch. Ron Fitch is a truly special person. How do you express in words the deep affection and deep gratitude our community has for you? The countless people you've supported over your 30 years supporting our community, the people you've mentored, and those volunteers that have gone on to be better versions of themselves. We absolutely love you, Ronnie, and we appreciate everything that you've done for SES and beyond. Long chats and deep and meaningfuls with the next person I'd like to call out. Phil Wall is one of the most optimistic, kindest and most generous people I've ever met. For 2 decades he has tirelessly given so much to this unit, and as he described as well, he's brought the story of what SES means statewide and in our local community literally to millions across the world. If you look at the social media at the back end, people tune in from far and wide. But it just shows how wonderful Phil is that when he was confronted with his own health battles and his own storm last year after suffering a stroke, he saw an opportunity again to raise awareness and support others by sharing his inspirational story of recovery and hope. So thank you for everything that you've done for us. Phil shared as well those beautiful words of Graham Russell and his service and legacy that's fitting of the meeting room that we've celebrated and acknowledged today. And I want to take this opportunity to also reflect on those volunteers who served our unit, who sadly can't be with us for this moment, but whose legacy and memories live on through every cherished moment that we have in the future here at this unit. And I'd like to specifically recognise and acknowledge the service of Natasha Drake, or Tash as she was affectionately known to our local community. Tash tragically passed away last year in February at the tender age of 27. Now, during Tash's 27 years, she packed so much into life. She was a beautiful personality, always showing kindness and generosity that enriched the lives of many others around her. Tash was a highly valued member of the Chelsea S unit for 5 years and grew so much during her time. Now, when she arrived, Tash was described as a little quiet and shy, but over time that certainly changed. Tash would find her voice and demonstrated such inspired leadership, driving a number of community engagements, including school visits, incursions of countless community organisations to Chelsea SES units, the Bunnings sausage sizzle drives and many fundraising activities. I remember bumping into Tash at Mordialloc College with Aspinall Gardens Community Service, and their fate there, she was absolutely extraordinary. And when Chelsea SES unit decided on establishing its headquarters here, they wanted to honour Tash's journey and memory and her commitment to Chelsea. And that's what you see here today, the Natasha Drake Memorial Garden. Now, Phil by chance mentioned to Bunnings Keysborough, who were so moved by Tasha's story that this was an ambition, and they've decided to make it a part of the Bunnings project. Bunnings staff and suppliers have planned and delivered everything that you will see out there today and created a beautiful space, fitting of the legacy of Tash and her beautiful memory. On behalf of the Chelsea SES unit and our local community, we cannot thank Bunnings Keysborough and their team enough, and for Chelsea SES unit for prioritising this important memorial. And Natasha's dad, Glenn, I hope this is an illustration of what your wonderful daughter meant to so many in our local community. We are honoured to be able to formally open the Natasha Drake Memorial Garden, which will be a place of quiet reflection for Chelsea members and a permanent reminder of our Tash. Finally, I want to thank every one of you for being here today to help us officially open the new SES, Chelsea SES headquarters. To everyone that's been a part of this journey, we thank you, and to our Chelsea SES unit members in particular, we acknowledge your service, your sacrifice, and all the work that you do. Thank you so much.
Getting all emotional, isn't it? Ronnie? No structure. No. Once you do it once, you've had it. You know. Once you've been there, you don't go back. But I'm putting in for a rise next week. Ron keeps telling me you're doing such a great job. Next week, I'm going to give you 30% more than you got this week. Our next speaker is the CEO of the Victorian State Emergency Service, and we're thrilled to have him here today. So would you please make welcome to the microphone, Mr. Steve Griffin.
Thanks, Phil, and thanks for everyone being here on a beautiful morning, which really, I think, reflects the celebration that we're going through this morning. It's lovely to be here on such a beautiful day. I'd also like to thank you, Steve. There's a beautiful reflection of the traditional landowners of the land, and I'd like to acknowledge that today as well. To Tim and to Hattie, thank you very much for being with us. The story that you've heard before, I don't want to repeat, but what I want to do is reflect on the number of people that are here today and the journey that we've been on that Tim took us through before. There are so many people that have had persistence and resilience as they've come to put the Chelsea new unit together. Ron tried to burn the place down to make sure we happened, and Vic Pole never turned up, which I never understood. But they're here today to celebrate, which is fantastic, and all our friends from the emergency services who are here to celebrate a journey which many of you have been on for a long time. I'm relatively a recent comer to that, although I've been around about 9 years, but the government of the day, I think we need to reflect on the journey that they've been on getting the Memorandum of Understanding in 2017 together. Some people were critical at the time because it really said what local government would do and what state government would do, and that had been blurred for some time. And until that clarity was made, it really wasn't a journey that we could get some money on, and big money needed to be done to be able to build facilities such as these. And you've seen nearly $150 million go into the SES building program over the last 6 or 7 years. And it came about because there was clarity of what the role of local government was and what the role of state government was, and what the units themselves could do to make sure they got their facilities. Because so many units, including Chelsea, had to fundraise, and it was a journey that probably could never be achieved unless state government came to the party. So I want to acknowledge that today, and particularly around Minister Molino at the time, who was very keen to make sure that happened. Annie, I'd like to also acknowledge the Council, Kingston Council, because for many years we're on that journey, and I know you want to get open space back at the obviously the old facility. And sometimes that can become, for local government, having been in that area before, it can become a bit of a difficult situation because you want the unit to move, you want them to go somewhere, but you are extremely patient with us on that journey as well. So I want to acknowledge Council and councillors on that journey for sticking with the Chelsea unit and making sure we got to this place today. We couldn't have done that again. It's very much a partnership, and again, at the particular time when NESIA, as Tim reflected before, the Emergency Services Infrastructure Authority, and now CASBAR, became to the party and worked with us to get these facilities up and going. And we couldn't have done that. So Lockie Council, I want to thank you and your predecessors for their great support and on the journey with this at Chelsea today. But it's very much a partnership that we work with. I also want to thank my own team here, Dave Pirey, Wayne Roberts and Justin Costello, who have been on the journey with us as well. And I know that when you build a new facility, sometimes there's some obvious tensions, where we're going to be, the type of facility it's going to be, is this the right place, what can be done? But what everyone does in the end is they all put their heads together and they make sure that the outcome that they're after is achieved.
We first met this gentleman, personally, when last year, my daughter Kimber, who is almost as big as this building, when she was the ambassador for WOW Day, and Andrew was there, and there was an instant connection with Andrew and Kimber, and they still chat online and they do all sorts of things. And then this week we heard that Andrew is going to be retiring in August, so we're thrilled that we were ready before August so he could join us today. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please put your hands together for Mr. Andrew Crisp, the Emergency Management Commissioner for Emergency Management Victoria. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Phil. Kimber, you're 1 in a million. But can I also begin by acknowledging traditional custodians' lands, which mean we're on pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. And thank you, Steve. I've heard many welcome to countries, and I've not heard one delivered by you previously, so thank you. That was very special when you asked us to close our eyes, and the sounds that you made and the way it reverberated in this building was very, very special. So, and thank you for a language lesson along the way. So. In terms of our emergency management, it is something that we need to be conscious of. We hear about our First Nations people being our first astronomers, our first doctors, but importantly in our sector, our first land managers, the people that looked after the sea and the waterways. So again, thank you so much for that. Welcome to country. Tim Richardson, local member. Pretty amazing. He's not a bad speaker, is he? I reckon he deserves around applause just for speaking. In particular, with the opening of a life-saving premises at Aspendale just recently, but it's just the passion and commitment for the local community. That's what's really important. And I know we're going to hear from Mayor Hattie Saab very, very shortly, and again, your councillors. Steve Griffin, not a bad bloke, been around for 9 years, getting the hang of it all. But yeah, it's great working with Steve as I do on a very, very regular basis. Look, it's already been mentioned, what I like when I come to openings, whether it's an SES facility, CFA, any of our emergencies, is to see the other emergency services here, and that's exactly what we've got reflected here today. So it's great to see CFA, the AMBOs, the Coast Guard, the Coppers. They do a reasonable job. But I like that connection with Bunnings, because our emergency services can't do anything on their own, as we know, and it's the support we receive from the broader community. I know this was mentioned in relation to this specific project, very, very special. So it's great that you're here also. And I know Lockie and the DJSS team were mentioned as well. Again, it's a huge team that gets to this position where we can come and open. What an incredible facility. So this is nothing less than you actually deserve as SES volunteers for the incredible work that you do in our community. And I always feel a little bit embarrassed when I'm sitting up the front, because as far as I'm concerned, and I appreciate we've got Ron up the front and the deputy controllers, it's you volunteers that you should be taken up at the front rows. We should be sitting behind supporting you, because that's exactly what our role is. What you do day in and day out in support of our community, particularly your community here, and I know a number of you have travelled to other parts of the state and interstate to support those other communities, is so commendable. I know Tim sort of mentioned Ron in particular, and when those stories were told in relation to your unit members that are no longer here, I looked across and you could tell the impact it was having on Ron. I've got to know Ron over the years in a number of different ways, and you are so committed, you are so compassionate, you are so caring, and you are so humble. And I also thank you for the incredible service you provide, not just to this particular unit, but to this community as a whole. I have used a term previously, and Jamie will be very, very disappointed if I don't mention it, but for me the SES is an emergency service that punches well and truly above its weight. You think about around 5,000 volunteers, 200 paid staff who do an absolutely incredible job. You are the control agency for so many different hazards, so whether that is flood, storm, earthquake, tsunami, but it's not just that. You are the support agency for the other emergency services in relation to basically anything and everything. So when I first came into the role, I thought, how would you better describe that? And for me, you're the Swiss Army knife of emergency services, because the Swiss Army knife is such a quality product, and it does so many things in so many ways and does them so well. So I don't know who wants to be the scissors or the little saw or whatever else, but they're all the things that you do. So thank you again for what you do in support of community. Incredible facility. I also hope that it will attract others to join you, but thank you so much and take care.
Thank you so much, Andrew, for the kind words. It is true, we are the control agency. In basic terms, we are the control agency for weather. So in reality, what that means is that from my position, Ron seems to think I can do anything. So it's never a surprise when I get a text that says, Sunday opening day, arrange sunshine, no wind, no rain. I just send back no problems. And as you can see, we get the job done. It's now my pleasure to introduce the Mayor of the City of Kingston, Councillor. He looks a bit like the Lone Ranger at the moment because I better let you know, just so you're aware, one of our other councillors who has been such a big part of Chelsea for such a long time. Last night I heard a phone call, right? As soon as I saw her name come up, I thought, uh-oh. She said, it's Tamsin, can't make it tomorrow, just tested positive with COVID. And of course Tim was just tested negative after being positive, so watch out for the front row. Andrew, you see, we weren't actually being nice, we stuck all the people that were dubious in the front row. We couldn't afford to lose more of our people. So, ladies and gentlemen, would you please make welcome Councillor Hadi Saab, the Mayor of the City of Kingston.
Hi everyone. Tamsin does send her apologies, but I am joined by my fellow councillor colleagues, Councillor Georgina Oxley and Councillor David Eden, so thank you for joining us. I'm so honoured to actually be here and be able to open up this facility, so thank you for the invitation, Phil, and Chelsea SES. I did want to do a quick acknowledgement of country as well, and thank you, Steve, for yours. It's really important that we do continue to acknowledge whenever we've got the opportunity to country in place and community members from, in this case, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander community members. It's important to share language. I've learned a lot from that. That was really moving for me, and I know a lot of others also felt the same way, so thank you for that. The City of Kingston proudly acknowledges the Bunurong people and the Kulin Nation as the traditional owners and custodians of its land. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging, as well as to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander community members with us today. Council pays tribute to the invaluable contributions of the Bunurong and other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander elders and community members who have guided and continue to guide the work that we do. There are a lot of people in the room that I need to acknowledge, and there's a few that I won't get the chance to, but I do thank you for all that you do. I wanted to acknowledge Member for Morty Tim Richardson, CEO of Vic SES, Steve Griffin, thank you, both beautiful speeches. I won't match that, but I'll try. Emergency Management Victoria Commissioner Andrew Crisp, thank you as well. I was about to say I don't have quite the same jokes, but I'll try. The Chelsea SES Unit Controller Ron Fitch, thank you, and my fellow councillors, as I mentioned earlier. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Chris Hill, and Tamsin Beasley also send their apologies. They would have loved to be here. Thank you for the invitation for this grand opening today. It's great to see how this modern, new Chelsea Heights home meets the expanding needs of Chelsea SES. You have space to grow and train, and a place where you can continue to recruit and retrain volunteers. We're a few days out from the Wearing Orange Wednesdays, so I was going to wear my orange today for this opening, but I thought I'm going to save it because I've only really got one orange shirt, so I'm not going to get it dirty before then. Knowing me, I probably will, as I go and get a Bunnings snack. Much of the work that is done is in this kind of weather, most of us try not to go out there. And at the time of night when most of us are safely asleep in bed. It is often done in the face of trauma and fear, a panicked person trapped in floodwaters, for example, or in the aftermath of a tragedy, a road crash, perhaps. It is carried out 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it is carried out by volunteers, the lifeblood of this incredible organisation. It is difficult to overestimate the value of volunteers to our community, particularly those within an emergency response service such as yours. Council is proud to have supported Chelsea SES via grants and facilities, in the challenging, often life-saving, and I imagine sometimes terrifying work that you all do. Across Kingston, we have more than 100 volunteer organisations and committees and more than 22,000 individuals generously giving their time, energy and expertise for the betterment of others. And I know this is a celebration of opening up the Chelsea SES facility, but it really is a celebration of all the volunteerism that we see throughout our council, and I can see it in the crowd now reflected back, mostly in the orange, but more generally to all community services and community organisations throughout. And next week, I look forward to being able to celebrate them all in our annual volunteer appreciation event. And I just wanted to quote from the SES website, "There is nothing purer than the heart of a volunteer. They are the heart of every rescue, the inspiration of every training course, and the soul of all things Vic SES. So to all of you who have generously and often bravely given your time and skills to help the rest of us in our most vulnerable times, a huge and heartfelt thank you, and a congratulations again on this beautiful facility. Thank you."
It's now time to introduce the Governor. This man has been unit controller of Chelsea SES since 1994, well before a number of our current members were even born. He's a 30-year volunteer, he's a life member of SES, and last year was awarded the Emergency Service Medal in the Australia Day Awards. Today, he truly is the man of the hour. Ladies and gentlemen, could you please welcome our controller and my mate, unit controller, Ron Fitch, ESM.
I've struggled today, I must admit. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge Tim Richardson, local member for our government area, Vic SES CEO Steve Griffin, Emergency Management Commissioner Victoria Andrew Crisp, Kingston Mayor, Councillor Hardy Saab, City of Kingston Councillors, special guests, ladies and gentlemen. Well, there were times when we didn't think this day would come, but here we are, and we cannot be happier. Today is officially recognised as a culmination of hard work put in by so many people who bring this project to fruition. Staff at SES State and Regional Head Offices, staff at SBSA, or ESIA as it was known, and of course, members of this unit. There are too many to mention individually. However, there are some that should be recognised for their tendency, persistence and an unwavering dedication to making this facility the best fit for purpose unit in Chelsea SES. Tim Richardson and the State Government, thank you for the funding to achieve this. Green Team members who have given so much and so many hours of their time to have us ready for this, have us ready for this today. To all the staff at ESIA, CSBA, as it is now, and SES, staff at Infrastructure and Property, thank you. A special thanks goes to Jon Holland for the great music this morning, and to Meg from Alice Rebel Kitchen and Bar in Chelsea for the catering, those people and everyone else involved in even the smallest way. We say a heartfelt thank you to you all. Also, a very special thank you must go to Tam McCauley from Bunnings and Bunnings staff and suppliers that through their incredible generosity and community spirit have donated the labour, all the plants and products that you will see in the Natasha card. That you will see Natasha treats. Natasha Sprague Memorial Garden. Amazing, thank you. It is in fact that we can have all of the vehicles, all of the equipment, and the biggest and best building in Victoria. But without our volunteers, it means nothing. Nothing happens without the people. And when the last volunteer leaves at night, the building is left without the heart and soul. So, the biggest thank you must go to our members, the people who give this building life, and who give the building purpose. I'm extremely proud to have been the privilege of being the controller of Chelsea SES and being able to see the wonderful new headquarters come a reality during my time in that role. Phil spoke about how this facility will go on long after we have gone, and the new faces that will come through to continue the tradition of helping our community in times of need. But more than that, also of our members existing outside of our own community. Chelsea members have and will continue to travel interstate throughout Victoria, assisting others, answering the call for help, whenever, wherever that call comes from. Something else that we are very proud of at Chelsea. As every volunteer organisation knows, volunteers will come and go as their life and work situation changes. So change is inevitable and sometimes necessary, but it makes having a consistent, so important this building is, that consistent, a home base that will stand the test of time and allow those new volunteers to fulfil their SES ambitions, just as those who go before them and after them will do. So what a day. Such a significant day in the 70 years history of the Chelsea SES. A day that will be remembered for so many years to come. A proud day for Chelsea SES and our members, and a day that the community should be embraced and be proud of, as this is as much a resource for them as it is for us. Thank you.
See, I know how kind our members are, so then we'll be saying after this, bloody Phil couldn't even get off the stage when the governor spoke. But the truth is that that's what we're all about. We're all here for each other. There's a saying that some people think's a bit of a wank, a bit tossy. It says we work as one. Well, we do. And today we celebrate as one. Thank you, Robbie. I spoke to Jamie earlier this morning on the phone, our head of comms, and he was as surprised as I was. When we arrived, Ron and I got here first this morning, and just the emotional feeling that was running through this place, I don't think any of us expected it. But it's hit us all. Especially those of us who've been working for so long to see this dream achieved. And the fact that we have so many wonderful people here, friends, to share it with, that is what this is all about. I've often said that being a volunteer is all about helping others, but it's a mindset, it's a way of life. And the funny thing is that most of the volunteers you see here today, in fact I bet all of the volunteers you see here today, are the busiest people you'll ever meet. So the old saying is, if you want something done, ask a busy person, is so true and makes so much sense. Anyway, enough of me rambling on. I'd now like to call Tim to come back. Now I have to explain this to you, Tim, so if you come up here. He says he's going to break it, and he's sure he's going to break it. Now, we wanted to make this, get your cameras ready, because this is the magic moment, this is the cutting the wedding cake, this is all the big thing, and we wanting to do this properly, so we didn't want to take the chance of Tim pulling this down. So we've got it, he can do it by remote control. And my fear is there's an old thing in the entertainment business that says you can bring Elvis back from the dead, you can get his original band back together, you can have him playing at the MCG in front of 100,000 people, and the microphone won't work. That's the microphone I'm worried about. That's it. I know. Steve asked you all to close your eyes before. Can I get you all to close your eyes for a second?
Well, goodness me, the heart's over 160 here, mate. I would like to now officially open the new Chelsea SES unit headquarters and unveil the automated plaque.
Now, how about that? We figured that this finishes at 2 o'clock today, and there's 2 spots at the bar at the RSL ready reserved for about 1 minute past 2. Now, that basically brings us to a close of our official part of the morning. Now, what's going to happen over the next 20 minutes, half hour, is Ron and anybody you see in orange, if you'd like to have a bit of a cook's tour around the place and have a look around, they are going to take you around. I think Ronnie, if he can control his emotions well enough, he's going to take you in the front row, our VIPs, not you lot, he's Sam. But he's going to take you around and give you a look around and show you what a fantastic facility this is. We can't be prouder of it, you know. We are an Orange family, and we are so proud, and we are so grateful for everybody who has done anything and everything to make this dream a reality. And with that, we will be serving lunch about 12:30, so plenty of food. John's going to be playing some fantastic music. After 15 years, all the bullshit's out of the way, let's have a party!